Okay, so the main thing about this teaching worksheet will be to explore all the methods of factorization. So factorization is always not so easy because it's the backward, it's the reverse. So after expansion, right, you're trying to return back the brackets. So it's always difficult. So there are four main methods. Basically, in Sec 1, you learn take out common factor. So some of you might have learned grouping in Sec 1, but maybe not much emphasis. So anyway, now it will become one of the proper method. And then cross factorization. So cross factorization, later we'll talk about it, and we'll be using algebra identity. So if you still remember in your expansion, you got three formulas, three algebra formulas. So that one is applicable as well. Okay, so I'll be taking you through method by method first. So I'm gonna be doing take out common factor first. So take out common factor is done in Sec 1. So more or less, this is just like a recap. So if you look at 2x minus 8, I think most of you can see that 2 is the common factor. So most of you should be able to do this mentally. So here you should be able to see that minus 3 is the common factor. Okay. Here 3x is the common factor. So all this, I think, is not foreign to all of you. But in any case, what if you find very difficult taking out common factor? So what is the thinking process? The thinking process is something like you take the first bubble and you divide by your common factor. Then you take the second bubble to divide by the common factor. Okay, so that is the main logic. Okay, so how do you get a 1 here? You use the first bubble and you divide by the common factor. How do you get the 7y? You get 21xy divided by 7y. So in a way, factorizing is like dividing up. So you gotta think about divide. Okay. So when things get very difficult, maybe you will need this divide thing. Okay. This one, the common factor will be minus 4x. Okay, so usually this is the one that a lot of people will have an issue. So those of you, if you have an issue with this, you may want to do this, but don't show. So you may want to do this so that you can tell the common factor. So x squared is the common factor. Then y squared is also the common factor. So after you take out the common factor, you are left with a y squared. And after the common factor, you are left with a x. So if you need to, right, you can show it, you can just do it at your side working. Just try not to show your teacher. Okay, so in the taking out of common factor, sometimes our common factor can be a bracket. So this whole bracket is the common factor. So you bring it out, divide it out. If you divide it out, you are left with 2x. You are left with minus 7. Okay. Oh, this is also another tricky one. So here there is a factorization of -1. From this, I'm going to factorize out a negative. So effectively, I factorize out a -1. After I factorize out a -1, my common factor is 2x plus 3. and I am left with 5x minus 1. So these are all classified under take out common factor. But taking out brackets, of course, is harder. Okay, so you can see there are some difficult ones here. So you can practice this idea. When we go to the methods on grouping utilize this idea of taking out common factor. So otherwise, this take out common factor will be the basic. It's a basic technique that you must try for all the factorization. Oh yeah, in a full exam factorization question, they can mix all the 4 methods. That means in one single question, you may be using 3 methods. So it won't be just one method kind of factorization. So the difficult part in factorization for Sec 2 is you must be able to do the individual factorization and you must be able to do the rojak factorization. That means if I mix up the method, will you be able to detect the method? Despite there is only 4 methods, but a lot of students will find that they find very, very difficult. They couldn't know which method is which method. So we'll come to that later on. There will be a feature to help you. Right now, you just make sure you know every method first. So here is the take out common factor idea.